Okay.
Mason.
So my biggest takeaway from the week 11 of the NFL was that if you looked at all the primetime games, great slate of primetime games, you had Kansas City and Oakland, Arizona and Seattle, the Rams and the Buccaneers. What's up, brother? You have to pee? I'm talking about something else first. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how to edit this stuff out, so it's just gonna be on there. Okay. So my biggest takeaway was if you look at the AFC West and then you look at the NFC West, the NFL is absolutely gonna run through the West for the next 5 to 10 years. Let's look at the AFC West first. Biggest weak link is obviously Denver. Drew Lock is not the answer, and I don't trust them to find the answer. Then you look at the Chargers, they have Justin Herbert. They are going to be perfectly fine for the next 5 years at quarterback. Then you look at the Raiders, they're going to have Derek Carr and John Gruden for at least 5 more years. Mason's and then you look at Kansas City, obviously defending Super Bowl champs. They're going to have Mahomes and Andy Reid for the next 5 years. And then you go to the NFC, right? Who's the biggest weak link there? I will probably say it's San Francisco just because of Jimmy G, the whole Jimmy G situation. Mason, it's good to have you on.
How's it going, Kyle?
Welcome, Mason Stone. So before we talk about the Eagles, I'm talking about how the NFL is going to run through the West for the next 5 to 10 years.
Through the West.
Mm-hmm. So if you look at it, you got Kansas City, Oakland, Los Angeles Chargers, and you got Denver, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have Mahomes, Carr, Herbert. Denver's the weak link, but that's going to be the best division.
Because of Drew Lock there.
Yeah, that's going to be the best division in the AFC
True.
for about the next 5 years.
Probably.
And then you go to the NFC West. Who's the biggest weak link in that division? It's San Francisco right now, but they made the Super
Jimmy
Bowl last
G,
year.
yeah.
Yeah.
That.
And I can trust you. I can tell you right now, Shanahan's going to find the answer for that. Right?
That's true.
I mean, it's going to be Darnold. It's going to be somebody in the draft. It's going to be somebody you never heard of. And it's going to work. It's going to work.
It could work.
Yeah. And then we're going to have Kyler Murray play Russell Wilson twice a year for the next 5 years. I think that's going to be the best rivalry in football.
That could be.
I really think so.
It really could be.
Like, if you look at it, the way they play against each other, the way they are so similar, it's must-see TV. I don't know if that bad blood's there, but
yeah.
I think it could accumulate over time with them, if they play in the playoffs, especially.
Yeah. I could see with Sam Darnold,
Yeah.
honestly, he has a lot of talent.
Seriously.
And
Let's go through it.
But Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, I think people don't see the bad blood because they're compared to each other a lot.
Yeah.
Because Kyler Murray's young. He has the same, sort of the same vibe as Russell Wilson had as he was coming into the league.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think there could be bad blood because Kyler Murray wants to prove that he's not Russell Wilson.
In those two teams we just named, neither of them are winning their division. It's the LA Rams with Goff and McVay. And they're going to be around.
A great coach.
They are.
Jared Goff is not a bad quarterback.
He
does
works.
work.
So I'm going to segue into this, and we're going to talk about the 1 seed in the NFC for a second. I am known in my friend group as the Taysom Hill hater, but for the next weeks he's going to work, right? So their next their next 3 games are Denver, Atlanta, and Philly.
He'll probably work.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win all 3.
I think they could win. I'm a Philly fan, and I think they can win all 3 of them.
So Drew Brees is supposed to return against Kansas City in Week 15. We'll see how that goes. I wouldn't personally. Wow, right? Nobody saw him. So I think you just have to go at least 2-1, and I think the Saints are way on track to get that 1 seed.
I think Taysom Hill can take them through there. Though, as much as hope I have for the Eagles going through all that, through the Saints, through the Seahawks, and I don't remember the other team, but playing the Saints, I think if Carson Wentz is on his A game, they could give him a run for their money, but
they could.
Taysom Hill could get carried through that.
Seriously.
And if Taysom Hill played like he did last week, no picks, he just ran in 2 touchdowns.
And 284 total yards, as my notes say.
Yeah.
And that is good enough to get it done. Interesting stat. Since last year, the Saints are 6-0 without Drew Brees. Teddy Bridgewater, remember that?
Yeah.
5-0.
Yeah.
So now the Saints are 6-0.
6-0 without him.
That obviously we're not saying when he
Drew
comes
Brees
back.
is yeah. No,
no. Yeah, we're not saying that. So
You
Mason is a huge Eagles fan. So I want to talk about the Eagles and Browns first. What an awful game that was.
So bad.
Cleveland, the city, can't get it together because every game I watch, it is
pouring down rain.
and it's just a disaster. And if
It
you've
was
ever
like the
been to
past 3
Cleveland,
weeks, it's been pouring down rain.
if you've ever been to Cleveland, it completely fits the city.
But that does say
Complete
something
down.
for Baker, though.
What do you mean?
He's been able to win with the rain.
Because he gives it to Chubb.
With the rain.
hands it off to Chubb. And then,
Kareem Hunt, coming in.
So, Wentz, he had 2 interceptions, I believe. So
Yeah,
now
he did.
his season total is at 14, and he has 6 fumbles. So, Mason, I have a couple questions for you about the future of the Eagles now that we are done talking about that awful game. Contract expires in 2025.
I know.
Does Wentz make it there?
I don't know if he does.
Mhm.
I could see, I'd probably give him 2 more seasons in Philly, and if he doesn't prove himself.
That's the other thing. I'm a Steelers fan. Roethlisberger had some horrible years.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely just, ugh.
Well,
Like-
even Peyton Manning had horrible years. Like,
Exactly.
okay, but I'm not comparing Carson Wentz to
No,
Peyton
no,
Manning at
That's
all.
not what we're doing at all.
all.
I'm just saying, remember how everyone wanted to dip on Derek Carr, 2 years ago, 1 year ago?
Yeah.
Now
Well,
he's-
yeah. I thought he was in the league for longer just because
Yeah.
everybody wanted to dip on him.
Yeah.
But
And
He's
he's
not a bad quarterback.
Exactly. And so another thing is you have to give quarterbacks time. Carson Wentz, I believe, will be 32, if I remember that right, when that contract expires. He's 27 now, so 5 years from now.
Yeah.
So who knows? I think it is definitely just not his fault.
Well, yeah.
He tries to do too much, which
I
is his
agree.
biggest problem. So now I ask you this: you are in first place in the NFC.
For
You are
a
in
tie.
first
A
place.
tie. A tie got
You
us.
tied against the Bengals. Congrats on that.
Should have won.
How do you turn the season around and make sure nobody else wins this division?
Well, we played
if we
the
call it that?
we play the Saints and the Seahawks. We play the Seahawks next week, and then I think it's the who is that?
Play some-
It's right in between that. It's someone else that we're not going to beat. But the thing is, like,
you don't play the Cardinals, do you?
it might be.
Just
We can look it up
just
right
look it
now.
up here.
I probably looked it up sooner than Eagles
Eagles.
schedule.
Let's just predict how this. Oh,
Packers.
Pack-
Okay.
You
And then
guys
we
have-
play the Cardinals after the
Oh
Saints. We
my.
do play the Cardinals.
So your next 4 games are Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans, and Arizona.
That is not fun. See,
So you have a break here since it's the NFC East. If you just win one of those somehow,
if
I think you're fine. I'd hope.
those Packers are being really close to some bad teams here lately.
They are.
They're
They
not
are.
a
And
confident team. You can't
you
be
guys-
confident with those that Packers team.
You guys did play the Steelers and Ravens very tough,
True.
and you probably honestly should have beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
To be quite
There
honest.
was 2 missed touchdown catches that
Mhm.
ended up not scoring in that drive.
Yeah.
And I think if Carson Wentz doesn't play like a bum,
Mhm.
he could probably
Which
come
he's
out
known
here. Yeah, right now, everybody's like, oh yeah, he's a bum. He also has been like top 5 since 2016 in completion percentage,
Mhm.
and top 5 with. I have a bunch of pictures of all his stats right now.
We'll save that for another time. All right.
Carson Wentz is he could turn a team around, and he can also ruin a team
Mhm. That's
like
his
this
biggest
year.
problem. That's his biggest problem because when you watch him, he kind of. I'm not comparing him to Russell Wilson, but I'm comparing to him in this way that he always. It seems like when everything. They're too reliant on him, so he always has to do too much.
He has to do more than he should have to do.
Exactly.
Right now, they've had 9 different starting lineups on the offensive line
Oh,
through 10
God.
games. Through 10 games. 9 different.
Oh man.
That's not good for
No,
any quarterback.
I was looking
It's
at
not
him.
good for running backs, even though Miles Sanders is still
Mhm.
balling. I think
Yeah.
Miles Sanders could be a generational talent for himself.
For himself, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will ask you this then: what needs to change? What needs to stay? Strengths and weaknesses of the Eagles roster, team, anything.
Their first step is keeping people healthy somehow. Somehow, first step.
It's like ever since I was Super Bowl, the injury bug just hasn't left.
It hasn't. No, it hasn't at all.
Yeah.
Because we've had too many offensive players get hurt, wide receiver wise, and if you don't have anyone to throw to, you're throwing to people like Greg Ward and Travis Fulgham.
Exactly.
Never heard of him before. Somehow Carson Wentz making him the angel, like Travis Fulgham, been cut by the Bears and the Lions. Bears and the Lions, cut by them.
That's a very good point. So let me ask you this then: coaching changes. Schwartz
gone.
Peterson.
As much as
my thing with coaches is like, look at Mike McCarthy. The Packers would have been way better if they got rid of him like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You can't just, if you win a Super Bowl, that does not mean you're guaranteed like 6 more years.
Aaron Rodgers. Well, when you have Aaron Rodgers, you can't not win a Super Bowl. I mean, you have to win at least one.
Exactly.
Or
Nick Foles.
hey. Okay.
You have a quarterback at the talent level of Nick Foles.
Okay, but on the changes thing, though, like where we struggle, injuries.
Yeah.
Our middle linebackers, there's a bunch of bumps out there, but last week they actually seemed to be good. But like they flowing with reading an offense and playing to like not letting the quarterback run for 800 yards for no reason. Like Danny Dimes.
It was the Browns. It was Baker.
Well, Baker.
His little short stubby feet.
He can get out there, you know.
But he looks like a bug running out.
True. And Jim Schwartz our defense is just awful.
Now, is that a personnel issue, or is that you really think that's a coaching issue?
I see players out there like Nickel Roby-Coleman, Darius Slay, but then I see
how's Hargrave playing?
I don't know.
He was that guy that was on the Steelers. Did you guys say
D-line? Well, our D-line is fine. I can say that way. I don't think he starts though. I'm pretty sure he doesn't start on the Eagles right now.
Because he was pretty solid for us last year, so I was just wondering. So then, what is the biggest thing they need to get in the draft? I'm hearing that it's very good for offensive linemen. I know but they're getting the Johnson and Kelsey are getting up there in age, right?
Yeah, and
I don't know about Kelsey actually, but
Kelsey, I think he came around the same time Carson Wentz came a little earlier. Yeah,
okay. He just looks like he's 40.
Yeah, he could be older.
But
their O-line needs help bad. It's really bad this year. I mean, you can't give up 35 sacks.
Yeah, I saw 5 sacks to Cleveland.
Yeah, you can't give up that and be like, something needs to change. Whether, I know people are like, oh yeah, Carson Wentz is just sitting in the pocket too long. But I watch every game, every play.
Yeah.
And I don't see him sitting in the pocket too long. I just see like, he has to get out of the pocket. And they're not making it, when he does get out of the pocket, it goes well. But when he stays in the pocket and gets sacked, it goes bad. And I think that's where you need to help with Doug Peterson to get him out of the pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I'm like, I want to keep Doug Peterson there because obviously he can bring a Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's there this year.
I think the biggest loss you guys have had is Frank Reich.
Yeah. The QB quarterback.
Look at the Colts now.
As soon as he left Philly, it just went downhill. I mean, he's a good quarterback coach.
He is. Does Peterson call the plays for you guys? Or?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
There's no.
Was it the same way when Reich was there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't remember who it was though. They got rid of him this year. It was right before this year.
Okay.
But I think if Doug Peterson just would like lay off of it. And like let someone else do it almost, but like still have a say. It's worth a shot. That one rumor I saw with Carson Wentz going to San Francisco. We've talked about this before. Yeah. I think him in San Francisco would be deadly,
God.
and I don't want to see that.
Shanahan would work just magic for Wentz.
I don't want to see that. As an Eagles fan, I don't want to see that.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like. Jimmy G, I know he was a backup to Tom Brady, but he was a backup for a reason.
He obviously
went to
got
Eastern Illinois for a reason.
It's true.
So I mean, besides that, what's up, brother? Hey, tell Justin Garrett I'm almost ready for him. Yeah, yes sir. You saw it again. Okay. Hey, Coop, could you give me a water bottle real quick? Could you give me a water bottle real quick? Alright. A little intermission break. That'll be our... What? Justin and Garrett, yeah. Not yet. We gotta find a use for it or something. That'll be our ad spot, since I don't have any, obviously. This is sponsored by SeatGeek. Use code DISASTER, thank you. So with that, I hope they get a win. They are the best team in there.
They win.
They are.
The Giants are proving themselves pretty well, though. I won't leave the Giants out of it. And the Redskins, I also feel like they have a good defense.
It's football team. Football team.
The football team.
You can't cuss.
There's not cuss.
You should hear Coop's part. Yeah, that's funny because...
but the football team, I feel like they have a great defense, a great D-line.
Chase Young. My
Sweat.
God.
All of them.
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
They can get to the quarterback as fast as possible. I mean, they hurt Joe Burrow. It's all right. It's all right. You know,
did you see that he has like a similar injury actually to Wentz that he had? He could. Yeah. I saw something today. He might not be back till next year's Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving?
Yes.
I did not see that.
Yes, 10 to 12 month recovery. ACL, MCL tear.
That's not good.
No.
I hope he's back and better than ever. And
seriously, I'm a Steelers fan. He is a great player.
He is.
He's fantastic.
He's
a great guy. He's great for the city of Cincinnati.
Yeah. As much as that team needs to turn around.
Oh, they better take this as
we've seen the Steelers. They've been consistent over 500 since Mike Tomlin's been there. And then
since 2003,
yeah, 2003, and then we see the Ravens. They're turning stuff around. Obviously, they're kind of rough in places with people figuring out Lamar Jackson.
I mean,
their defense is good.
Though.
Yeah, they've been there. They've been there. Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
Like they've been there. And then the Browns are trying to turn things around now. They're not a team I want to play right now.
I wouldn't take them seriously, but
they're not a team I want to play. But that Bengals team is like, you have AJ Green and you had Andy Dalton, and Andy Dalton's.
And they made it work for a while.
They did make it work, but
it was
not
always
spectacular.
It honestly kind of reminds me of the Browns situation now. Like being a Steelers fan and Ravens fans probably relate to this too. I never actually took them. I was like, yeah, you won the division, but you're gonna lose. I was like, congrats.
Yeah,
you're not going any farther. They lost to what? They lost to the Jets in Wild Card Weekend. They lost to Sanchez in Wild Card Week. They lost to the Chargers.
Hey, don't put any shame on that man's name. He was a good quarterback.
Who, Sanchez?
Mark Sanchez.
Come on.
He wasn't a bad quarterback.
He seems like a great guy. So
he wasn't a bad quarterback.
All right, Mason. Thank you for coming on the podcast. It was a pleasure having you on. He's one of the biggest Eagles fans I know. He's the biggest Eagles fan.
You know, yeah.
I know so many Eagles fans. Just kidding. But thank you for being on. You provided great insight for the future of the Eagles. Let's see what that is going to even look like. Like I said, with the NFC West, the NFC's going to be loaded.
Yeah.
And with, like you said, Washington gets a quarterback. Oh my God. With Rivera.
With Terry McLaurin, too?
With Ron Rivera's the coach.
Rivera scared me coming into this year, too.
Yeah, and Jones and Judge look like they get better chemistry each week. So
yeah, it could be a turnaround.
Seriously. So that'll be interesting to watch fold out. I will definitely have you back on probably next week. Right?
Probably next week. All right. I'll go grab those two.
All right. So now we're going to talk about the future of another team my friends are fans of, and that will be the Chicago Bears. Justin Davison and Garrett Smick, everybody. All right, spread it out a little bit. You're sitting on this too.